Picture this scenario for a moment. You wake up in a hotel in Bangkok, which happens to be owned by a major conglomerate. You head downstairs to grab a quick coffee and a toasted sandwich at a 7-Eleven, funneling a few baht to a different conglomerate. You tap your card to ride the SkyTrain, sending a fraction of a cent to a telecom and infrastructure giant. You spend your afternoon escaping the tropical heat inside a massive multi-level shopping mall, and when evening rolls around, you sit down with a cold Chang beer. In a lot of countries, your spending throughout the day would be distributed among hundreds of different competing mid-sized companies. But in Thailand, the economic landscape is built differently. Almost everything you interact with, from the internet connection on your phone to the chicken in your lunch and the electricity powering your hotel room, can be traced back to the boardrooms of just a handful of families. Hey everyone, I'm Daniel, and welcome back to Asian Money Map. On this channel, I spend way too much time reading through financial reports and tracing corporate histories so we can understand how wealth actually moves across Asia. Today, we are looking at the families who effectively form the economic backbone of Thailand. My goal here isn't to point fingers or pick sides, but to objectively map out how these empires were built and what it means for a country when a few groups hold this much market share. Let's map it out. To understand Thai wealth, we actually need to start with something that isn't primarily tied to the domestic Thai economy at all. We start with the Yovidia family, who frequently trade the #1 spot on Thailand's rich list, with a net worth hovering around the high $30 to low $40 billion mark. Depending on the year, their wealth comes from a product you have almost certainly seen and probably drank: Red Bull. But the corporate history of Red Bull is often misunderstood, and the real story is a fascinating look at global partnerships. Back in the 1970s, a Thai businessman and pharmacist named Chaleo Yovidia formulated an energy tonic. He called it Craving Dang, which translates to red gar, a large, muscular wild bovine found in Southeast Asia. At the time, Chaleo wasn't trying to build a global lifestyle brand. He was solving a very specific local problem. Thailand was industrializing rapidly. Factory workers, long-haul truck drivers, and construction laborers were working grueling hours and needed an affordable way to stay awake. Craving Dang was uncarbonated, very sweet, and packed with caffeine and taurine. It was a utilitarian product for the working class. The pivot happened in the 1980s. An Austrian marketing executive named Dietrich Mateschitz traveled to Thailand for work, bought a bottle of Craving Dang to deal with his jet lag, and realized the product's immense potential. He approached Chaleo with a proposition: let's adapt this for the West. They formed a partnership that would become one of the most successful joint ventures in consumer goods history. They carbonated the drink, changed the flavor profile slightly, and packaged it in that iconic slim silver and blue can. But here is the structural fact that secured the Yovidia family's generational wealth. They kept the majority control. The ownership was split, with Mateschitz taking 49%, Chaleo taking 49%, and Chaleo's son, Chalerm Yovidia, taking 2%. This means the Thai family collectively owns 51% of the global Red Bull empire. Today, Red Bull sells over 12 billion cans a year. While the Austrian side of the company brilliantly managed the global marketing, tying the brand to Formula One, extreme sports, and aviation, the Thai family has quietly collected the majority of the dividends. Under the current leadership of Chalerm Yovidia, the family operates somewhat uniquely compared to other Thai billionaires. Because their revenue is so heavily globalized, they are largely insulated from domestic economic slowdowns in Thailand. They don't need to control local infrastructure or retail. Their wealth is a high-margin export machine. But if you want to look at a family whose business directly intersects with the daily lives of Thai citizens, we have to look at the Cheravanant family. The founders of the Charoen Pokphand Group, universally known as CP, with a family net worth often cited around $30 billion. The scale of CP is difficult to overstate. Their core strategy is vertical integration, which essentially means owning every single step of a product's life cycle. Let's look at their agribusiness roots. In 1921, Chia Ek Chor opened a small shop in Bangkok selling seeds imported from China. Today, CP is one of the world's largest producers of animal feed and livestock. In a vertically integrated system, CP doesn't just process the chicken you buy. They manufacture the animal feed. They sell that feed and the chicks to contract farmers. When the chickens are grown, CP buys them back, processes the meat in their own factories, packages it, and then sells it. And that brings us to the most visible part of their empire: retail. CPALL operates the 7-Eleven franchise in Thailand. There are over 14,000 branches across the country. In Thailand, 7-Eleven is not just a place to grab a snack on a road trip. It functions as neighborhood infrastructure. People use it to pay their utility bills, send parcels, and buy their daily meals. From a business perspective, owning the ultimate point of sale is a massive advantage. If you control the shelves, you control the market. For mid-sized Thai food and beverage companies, getting your product into 7-Eleven is often the difference between staying local and going national. Furthermore, this retail network provides CP with an unprecedented amount of consumer data. They know exactly what products are moving, in which neighborhoods, at what times of day. In recent years, CP has expanded aggressively into digital infrastructure to complete this ecosystem. Their telecommunications arm, True Corporation, recently merged with DTAC, a major rival telecom provider. This merger created an absolute giant in the Thai mobile market, essentially leaving the country with a duopoly in the mobile telecom space. When you combine their agriculture, their 14,000 convenience stores, and their massive share of the nation's internet and mobile network, the Charavanants have built a highly pragmatic, deeply entrenched business ecosystem that is present in nearly every sector of the domestic economy. Now, moving from consumer goods to the invisible currents that power them, we have to look at a relatively newer name at the very top of the wealth rankings: Sarath Ratnavati. With a net worth hovering around $10 to $12 billion, he is the CEO of Gulf Energy Development. Historically, the richest families in Thailand made their money in retail, food, or beverages. Sarath represents the immense financial power of B2G, or business to government infrastructure. Gulf Energy is a massive power generation company. They build and operate gas-fired power plants, solar projects, and wind farms. The business model of a power plant is very different from selling retail goods. When you build a major power plant, you typically sign a power purchase agreement, or a PPA, with the state utility. This guarantees a long-term, steady stream of revenue, often stretching out for 20 to 25 years. It is a highly capital-intensive business with massive barriers to entry, but once you are in, the cash flow is incredibly stable. But what makes Sarath's strategy worth analyzing is his recent pivot. He realized that the future of energy isn't just about keeping the lights on, it's about fueling the digital economy. The single biggest operating expense for a data center or a telecom network is electricity. Seeing this synergy, Gulf Energy began moving aggressively into digital infrastructure. In a massive corporate maneuver, Gulf became the major shareholder in InTouch Holdings, which in turn controls AIS, Thailand's largest mobile network operator, and the main rival to CP's True Corporation. Sarath didn't stop at telecom. Gulf has partnered with Binance to open a digital asset exchange in Thailand, and they are actively partnering with global tech giants to build hyperscale data centers to prepare for the AI boom. By linking energy production directly with digital infrastructure, Sarath Ratnavati has managed to transition a traditional utility company into a diversified, forward-looking tech and energy conglomerate in less than a decade. It's a very practical execution of reading where the global market is heading and building the pipes to support it. Next, we look at a classic model of using high cash flow businesses to fund massive physical assets. Charoen Siravadnabekdi, with a family net worth around $10 billion, is the founder of Thai Beverage, or ThaiBev. Charoen's story is one of modest beginnings. His parents were street vendors in Bangkok. He started his career supplying ingredients to distilleries, eventually acquiring his own licenses to produce liquor. Today, ThaiBev is the company behind Chang Beer, Mekhong Rum, and a massive portfolio of non-alcoholic drinks like Oishi Green Tea. The beverage industry in Thailand is fascinating because it acts as a case study in how government regulations can inadvertently create massive defensive moats for established companies. For decades, the laws surrounding commercial brewing in Thailand required a company to produce millions of liters per year to even legally hold a license. This economy of scale requirement effectively made it impossible for small, independent craft breweries to open and compete legally. While these laws are slowly beginning to face public pushback and debate, like the recent progressive liquor bill proposed in Parliament, the historical regulations allowed ThaiBev, along with its main rival Boon Rod Brewery, makers of Singha, to comfortably share the market for a very long time. Another interesting regulatory moat is advertising. Under Section 32 of Thailand's Alcoholic Beverage Control Act, it is strictly illegal to display the logo of an alcoholic beverage or encourage its consumption on billboards or television. If a new competitor enters the market, building brand awareness is incredibly difficult. However, established companies found a pragmatic legal workaround. ThaiBev created Chang drinking water and soda water. They use the exact same brand name, the same font, and the same iconic green elephant logo as the beer. They then heavily advertise the water across the country. Consumers see the logo constantly, reinforcing brand recall without ever technically advertising alcohol. But Charwin's strategy extends far beyond beverages. He is known for using the steady, massive cash flow generated from selling drinks to acquire real estate. Through his companies like Asset World Corporation, his family owns a staggering portfolio of luxury hotels, office towers, and retail spaces across Thailand's prime tourist and business districts. Furthermore, his retail arm, Burley Jucker or BJC, acquired the massive hypermarket chain Big C in Thailand from the French casino group in a multi-billion-dollar deal. It's a classic, effective strategy. Sell fast-moving consumer goods to fund the acquisition of permanent, appreciating land. Finally, we arrive at the Chirathivat family, the owners of the Central Group, holding a fortune around $9 to $10 billion. If you have spent any time in Thailand, you know that the shopping mall is not just a place to buy clothes. Because of the hot climate and urban density, malls serve as public squares, dining hubs, and social spaces. The Central Group practically pioneered this modern retail culture in Thailand. Starting from a small general store opened by Tiang Chirathivat in the 1940s, Central Group now operates an immense network of central department stores, massive shopping complexes like Central World, and various supermarket chains. Much like CP does with 7-Eleven, Central Group leverages its physical footprint to gather consumer data. They operate The One, which is one of Thailand's largest loyalty and data platforms. By tracking purchases across their department stores, supermarkets, and partner brands, they can optimize mall layouts, tailor marketing, and understand shifts in consumer spending with incredible accuracy. But what makes Central Group stand out analytically is their international strategy. While many Thai conglomerates focus on dominating the domestic market, the Chirathivats have been quietly and strategically acquiring heritage retail brands across Europe. Over the last decade or so, they purchased La Rinascente in Italy, Illum in Denmark, and the Kadewi Group in Germany. Their most high-profile move was the acquisition of the legendary Selfridges department store in the UK. They initially bought it in a joint venture with an Austrian real estate company called Signa Group. When Signa faced severe financial difficulties and insolvency recently, Central Group didn't back out. Instead, they moved strategically to convert debt to equity, taking majority control of the operating companies behind Selfridges. This shows a very clear corporate thesis. Central Group is betting that while e-commerce is growing, high-end, experiential, luxury physical retail in prime global cities still holds immense value, both as retail operations and as prime real estate holdings. So, when we look at the whole board, the global FMCG exports of Yovidya, the integrated food and retail network of CP, the infrastructure and data transition of Gulf, the beverage and real estate stronghold of ThaiBev, and the retail dominance of Central Group, what is the actual takeaway? From an objective economic standpoint, there are clear benefits and clear drawbacks to this model. On the positive side, these massive conglomerates provide incredible economic stability. During global financial crises or pandemics, these companies have the capital reserves to weather the storm. They employ millions of people. They have the financial muscle to partner with global tech giants like BlackRock, Google, or Binance, bringing massive foreign direct investment into Thailand that a smaller company could never secure. They build world-class infrastructure at a pace that keeps the country competitive on a global stage. But on the flip side, we have to look at market dynamics. A tightly concentrated economy inherently features high barriers to entry. Whether it is strict licensing laws in brewing, massive capital requirements for telecom, or the sheer difficulty of getting shelf space in a dominated retail market, it is structurally difficult for small and medium-sized enterprises to scale up. When a handful of companies control the supply chains, the real estate, and the internet networks, the playing field isn't exactly level. It raises a valid, ongoing debate among economists in Thailand. Does this oligopoly model provide the necessary heavy lifting for a developing nation? Or does it eventually act as a ceiling, stifling the next generation of tech innovators, craft brewers, and independent retailers from becoming the big players of tomorrow? This is a complex issue, and it's something I'm genuinely curious to get your perspective on. Looking at how these businesses operate, do you think having massive family conglomerates is a necessary engine that keeps a country's economy stable? Or do you think it creates an unfair ceiling that stops new, innovative businesses from breaking through? Drop your analysis in the comments down below. I read every single one, and it's a debate we really need to have. And if you found this breakdown helpful and want to keep mapping out how business and power actually work across Asia, consider hitting subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. Thanks for your time, and until the next map, remember to always look at who owns the companies behind the brands you use every day. See you next time.